The professor. They analyze and think deeply about everything, but long to be overwhelmed by a more free spirit who can help them release their mental barrier. The beauty. Used to being appreciated. You must focus on the less complimented features like her intellect or wit. The aging baby. Still immature and wanting a supportive parent. You must enable their childish desires while still occasionally reeling them in. The rescuer. They long to feel like they're saving someone from themselves. You must make them feel that they can save you from something and they will become obsessed. Let her be your maternal protector. The roue. Experienced in life. They desire to educate someone more naive. The idol worshipper. You must become their object of worship that provides the meaning in life that they seek. The sensualist. Driven by their senses. You must overwhelm their sight, smell, and touch, to fully draw them in. The lonely leader. Act as their equal or superior. The kind of relationship they rarely have. The floating gender. Float with them. Seduction phase 1. Separation, stirring interest and desire. Choosing the right victim. The right victims are those for whom you can fill a void, who see in you something exotic. To leave people who are inaccessible to you alone is a wise path. You cannot seduce everyone. Never rush into the waiting arms of the first person who seems to like you. That is not seduction but insecurity. People who are outwardly distant or shy are often better targets than extroverts. They are dying to be drawn out, and still waters run deep. On the other hand, you should generally avoid people who are preoccupied with business or work. Seduction demands attention, and busy people have too little space in their minds for you to occupy. Creating a false sense of security. Approach indirectly. Once you have chosen the right victim, you must get his or her attention and stir desire. To move from friendship to love can win success without calling attention to itself as a maneuver. First, your friendly conversations with your targets will bring you valuable information about their characters, their tastes, their weaknesses, the childhood yearnings that govern their adult behavior. Second, by spending time with your targets you can make them comfortable with you. Then, surprise their expectations with an errant touch or suggestion. Make them now interested. There is nothing more effective in seduction than making the seduced think that they are the ones doing the seducing. The first move to master is simple. Once you have chosen the right person, you must make the target come to you. Too much attention early on will actually just suggest insecurity, and raise doubts as to your motives. Worst of all, it gives your targets no room for imagination. Take a step back. Let the thoughts you are provoking come to them as if they were their own. In all arenas of life, you should never give the impression that you are angling for something that will raise a resistance that you will never lower. Learn to approach people from the side. Send mixed signals. What is obvious and striking may attract their attention at first, but that attention is often short-lived. In the long run, ambiguity is much more potent. Most of us are much too obvious instead. Be hard to figure out. To deepen their interest, you must hint at a complexity that cannot be grasped in a week or two. If you have a sweet face and an innocent air, let out hints of something dark, even vaguely cruel in your character. Appear to be an object of desire. Create triangles. You see a man alone, whom nobody talks to for any length of time, and who is wandering around without company. Isn't there a kind of self-fulfilling isolation about him? Why is he alone? Why is he avoided? There has to be a reason. When people's vanity is at risk, you can make them do whatever you want. According to Stendhal, if there is a woman you are interested in, pay attention to her sister. That will stir a triangular desire. Men who believe that a rakish reputation will make women fear or distrust them, and should be played down, are quite wrong. On the contrary, it makes them more attractive. Create a need, stir anxiety and discontent. People are always susceptible to being seduced, because in fact everyone lacks a sense of completeness, feels something missing deep inside. Bring their doubts and anxieties to the surface and they can be led and lured to follow you. Make people anxious about the future. Make them depressed. Make them question their identity. Make them sense the boredom that gnaws at their life. The ground is prepared. The seeds of seduction can be sown. Master the art of insinuation. There is no known defense, however, against insinuation, the art of planting ideas in people's minds by dropping elusive hints that take root days later, even appearing to them as their own idea. Make everything suggestive. Enter their spirit. Play by their rules. Enjoy what they enjoy. Adapt yourself to their moods. In doing so, you will stroke their deep-rooted narcissism and lower their defenses. Create temptation. As the serpent tempted Eve with the promise of forbidden knowledge, you must awaken a desire in your targets that they cannot control. Find that weakness of theirs, that fantasy that is yet to be realized, and hint that you can lead them toward it. Find that childhood insecurity, that lack in their life, and you hold the key to tempting them. Their weakness may be greed, vanity, boredom, some deeply repressed desire, a hunger for forbidden fruit. They signal it in little details that elude their conscious control. Their style of clothing, an offhand comment. Phase 2. Lead astray, creating pleasure and confusion. Keep them in suspense. What comes next? Behave in a way that leaves them wondering. What are you up to? Doing something they do not expect from you will give them a delightful sense of spontaneity. They will not be able to foresee what comes next. There are all kinds of calculated surprises you can spring on your victims, sending a letter from out of the blue, showing up unexpectedly, taking them to a place they have never been. But best of all are surprises that reveal something new about your character. Reliability is fine for drawing people in, but stay reliable and you stay a bore. Dogs are reliable. A seducer is not. Use the demonic power of words to sow confusion. Inflame people's emotions with loaded phrases. Flatter them, comfort their insecurities, envelop them in fantasies, sweet words, and promises, and not only will they listen to you, they will lose their will to resist you. A woman was beautiful, yet lacked confidence in her own wit and intelligence. He made sure to say that he was bewitched not by her beauty but by her mind. Pay attention to detail. Poeticize your presence. You can be dangerous, naughty, even somewhat vulgar, depending on the tastes of your victim. But never be ordinary or limited. In poetry, as opposed to reality, anything is possible. The only thing that cannot be idealized is mediocrity, but there is nothing seductive about mediocrity. There is no possible way to seduce without creating some kind of fantasy and poeticization. Disarm through strategic weakness and vulnerability. The best way to cover your tracks is to make the other person feel superior and stronger. If you seem to be weak, vulnerable, enthralled by the other person, and unable to control yourself, you will make your actions look more natural, less calculated. Remember, what is natural to your character is inherently seductive. A person's vulnerability, what they seem to be unable to control, is often what is most seductive about them. A woman, for instance, may be attracted by a man's strength and self-confidence, but too much of it can create fear, seeming unnatural, even ugly. Confuse desire and reality, the perfect illusion. Your task as a seducer is to bring some flesh and blood into someone's fantasy life by embodying a fantasy figure, or creating a scenario resembling that person's dreams. Isolate the victim. Separate them from their environment physically, emotionally, and mentally, so they can become further engrossed with you. Phase 3. The precipice, deepening the effect through extreme measures. Prove yourself. Do not worry about looking foolish or making a mistake. Any kind of deed that is self-sacrificing and for your target's sake will so overwhelm their emotions, they won't notice anything else. Cleverly lead your victim into a crisis, a moment of danger, or indirectly put them in an uncomfortable position. And you can play the rescuer, the gallant knight. Effect a regression. Stir up the transgressive and taboo. Making your targets feel that you are leading them past either kind of limit is immensely seductive. People yearn to explore their dark side. But we are strange animals. The moment any kind of limit is imposed, physically or psychologically, we are instantly curious. A part of us wants to go beyond that limit, to explore what is forbidden. The most blatant way to do this is to engage in behavior that gives you a dark and forbidden aura. Theoretically, you are someone to avoid. In fact, you are too seductive to resist. Use spiritual lures. Everyone has doubts and insecurities about their body, their self-worth, their sexuality. If your seduction appeals exclusively to the physical, you will stir up these doubts and make your target self-conscious. Instead, lure them out of their insecurities by making them focus on something sublime and spiritual. A religious experience, a lofty work of art, the occult. Mix pleasure with pain. Lure them in with focused attention, then change direction, appearing suddenly uninterested. Make them feel guilty and insecure. Even instigate a breakup, subjecting them to an emptiness and pain that will give you room to maneuver. Your seduction should never follow a simple course upward toward pleasure and harmony. The climax will come too soon, and the pleasure will be weak. What makes us intensely appreciate something is previous suffering. Without tension, without anxiety and suspense, there can be no feeling of release, of true pleasure and joy. It is your task to create that tension in the target, to stimulate feelings of anxiety, to lead them to and fro, so that the culmination of the seduction has real weight and intensity. So rid yourself of your nasty habit of avoiding conflict, which is in any case unnatural. You are most often nice not out of your own inner goodness but out of fear of displeasing, out of insecurity. Phase 4. Move in for the kill. Give them space to fall, the pursuer is pursued. Stir the pot by seeming interested in someone else. Make none of this explicit. Let them only sense it and their imagination will do the rest, creating the doubt you desire. Understand. A person's willpower is directly linked to their libido, their erotic desire. When your victims are passively waiting for you, their erotic level is low. When they turn pursuer, getting involved in the process, brimming with tension and anxiety, the temperature is raised. Use physical lures. While your cool, nonchalant air is calming their minds and lowering their inhibitions, your glances, voice, and bearing, oozing sex and desire, are getting under their skin, agitating their senses and raising their temperature. Second, be alert to the signs of physical excitation. Blushing, trembling of the voice, tears, unusually forceful laughter, relaxing movements of the body, any kind of involuntary mirroring, their gestures imitating yours, a revealing slip of the tongue. These are signs that the victim is slipping into the moment and pressure is to be applied. Master the art of the bold move. One person must go on the offensive, and it is you. Beware the after effects. Stir the pot, even if that means a return to inflicting pain and pulling back. Never rely on your physical charms. Even beauty loses its appeal with repeated exposure. Only strategy and effort will fight off inertia. Maintain your mystery and lightness. Avoid the slow burnout. Once you feel disenchanted and know it is over, end it quickly, without apology. Once you are truly disenchanted, there is no going back, so don't hang on out of false pity. It is more compassionate to make a clean break. If that seems inappropriate or too ugly, then deliberately disenchant the victim with anti-seductive behavior.